Hello, I'm going to talk about the course project. PDF of the assignment is up on Canvas now if you'd like to go have a look at this document yourself. The assignment is to write your own final exam review guide. And I'm just going to take a minute to go over the details here. So the first thing you're going to need is something to organize the project. Since the setting is mainly virtual this semester, I recommend that you use Google Doc, or you can just save the files in your Google Drive. And then you can just submit a link to those in Canvas, and I can check them that way. So how does the assignment work? Well, the first thing that you need to do is go to the course objectives, and you're going to find all of the course objectives that correspond to the test that we just took. And then you're going to summarize any important concepts in a very brief, short way and come up with example problems that you predict might be on the final and solve those problems. So let's just look for a minute how the grading works. So each of the project's checks are intended to be drafts. So it's okay if there's little mistakes or something wrong. But you need to make sure that you have all of the topics that were on the test in that portion of the project. And you need to put some effort in. Every day that it's late, I'm going to take off a point, and I'll also take off a point if you miss some major topics. So let's go have a look at the course descriptions, and I'll do some examples about what a typical project would look like. I'm here at the course outline and competencies for Math 171. That's our class. And now I'm just going to go through this list and find all of the topics that were on the test that we just took. So solve quadratic equations was on there, solve equations involving rational expressions and radical and absolute value expressions, those were on there, solve polynomial equations, that was on there. So the assignment is to dig through this list and find all of the topics that were on the test that we just took. And then you're going to need to summarize any important concepts and write down an example problem. So I'm just going to do one as an example, but you've got to do all of the ones that appeared on this test. So as an example, I'm just going to choose solve polynomial equations. And again, I'm going to summarize any important concepts and solve an example problem. So here's an example of what one piece of the project would look like for the competency solve polynomial equations. So I put down some notes here that I think are important to remind me later when I'm studying for the final that if you're ever solving a polynomial equation and you see four terms, then you're going to factor by grouping. And I also made a note here that if you have an equation of quadratic form, that you should use substitution for the middle term. So those are what I consider the important concepts about solving polynomial equations. You may have something different. The point of this is to customize this final exam review for the things that you think you're going to need to remember on the final. And then I came up with an example problem here. I used the homework to help me come up with this, and that's okay. If you want to go back and look at your old homework assignments and use one of those problems kind of as a template to make up your own. And then I just solved it out and ended up with these answers. So again, the assignment is to go through that list of competencies and look for all the ones that show up on the test that we just took. And then for each of the ones that were on the test, write down the important concepts and write down a simple example problem so that you have something to go on when it comes time to study for the final. I'm happy to answer questions about this or talk about this if you're curious. Was this topic on the test that we just took? Will you help me come up with an example for this type of topic? Or I don't know what this terminology means. Just shoot me an email and I'll get right back with you about what the expectation is for that topic. So let me know if you have any questions. And I hope that this helps you when the final comes around so that you can really get a good score on that last test.